What's up, guys? So today we're going to be comparing Mac Jones and Trey Lance and who I would pick if I were the 49ers. Mac Jones, Trey Lance, Justin Fields. So this is going to be another episode of if I were the general manager. So let's get to it. I think Mac Jones, I feel like, has the mental side of it. I feel like he's the type of guy that will execute. He's the safest pick. I feel like he's mobile. Like he's definitely more mobile than Jimmy. If you're looking for that. He's definitely more mobile than Jimmy. I guess you could say he has more experience, but actually he has about the same amount of games as Trey Lance. They've both been in. I mean, Trey Lance has been at North Dakota State for 3 years, but I mean, this year was canceled, and then last year I think he had less games. And then, so they both have 3 years. The only difference is Mac Jones played this year, so it's a safer pick if you're picking Mac Jones. It's definitely a safer pick because you would be going with a guy who you kind of know what's going to happen. The problem with Mac Jones is his upside isn't as much, you know. He could be a guy that doesn't really make a ton. Like he could be a guy that could be a flat out bust. I feel like he could be a guy who could really not make a he could be a guy that, this would be the safer choice for the 49ers. This would be the safer choice for the 49ers, but he's the type of guy that's never going to be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Matt Ryan, he reminds me of, if his farthest upside, I think, is Matt Ryan. He reminds me a lot of Matt Ryan. So if his upside is Matt Ryan was never a top 5 QB in the league. He was always like 7th at his best. I guess in his MVP year, he was top 5. But I just don't see Mac Jones being a top 5 pick for the 49ers. A top 5 quarterback. And so you need to swing for the fences. Now let's get back to Justin Fields. He has, I guess, experience. The thing with Mac Jones and Fields, they both have like 500 passes. Trey Lance only has like 250. That's the biggest thing with Trey Lance. And so, Mac Jones and Justin Fields are more of, I guess, the reps kind of thing. With Justin Fields, I feel like, both with Alabama and Ohio State quarterbacks, I feel like both of them both have, like, name me one quarterback that has come out of Alabama and Ohio State that is good. Nobody. There's literally been no quarterbacks. That's another thing. Another thing with Justin Fields, he can sling it, but I feel like his reads are a little slow. Now, I know that's a little blown out of proportion. That's fixable. But I feel like Justin Fields could be a guy that could be a spectacular bust, just like Dwayne Haskins and all the other Ohio State. But there's a lot of upside. He can sling the ball. But, again, he doesn't play in Kyle Shanahan's offense. Now, Kyle Shanahan can work with that, I feel like. But, I would want Mac Jones over Justin Fields. I watched a lot of Justin Fields. His footwork isn't great. I am a Michigan fan, so I guess that's a little bit of biased here. But I would actually want Fields because he could have a lot of upside. And scratch that thought just a second ago. I would want Fields over Mac Jones. But what both of them have, they both had super teams that can carry them. I feel like Trey Lance hasn't had that. So if you go to Trey Lance, he's got a strong arm. His footwork is great. He's got a lot of upside, and he can swing. Like, you can really, this would be swinging for the fences. You can really make a mistake, but at the end of the day, the upside is so great with him. I feel like Kyle would be amazed by him. Now, does Kyle really want him? I think Kyle really wants Mac Jones. I feel that Kyle really wants Mac Jones. John Lynch really wants Trey Lance. I feel like it. the front office wants Trey Lance. Now, I'm not completely sure. I've heard that from a few people, so that's not really my own thing. But, it could be the situation where in Washington that Kyle Shanahan, doesn't want to pick. He doesn't want to pick Trey Lance. But he doesn't want, like, in the situation in Washington, he didn't want to pick Robert Griffin, but he had to. So it could be where the organization gets its say and he picks Trey Lance, and he gets somebody like Davis Mills in the 4th round. It could be like that. He could draft 2 quarterbacks, and then if one fails, maybe get a second resort kind of guy if you need one. It could be also like that. I think it could be really that type of situation where he doesn't want the quarterback, but he needs him. But, he is very stubborn, so I wouldn't want that situation. Again, when this trade went down, I was like, we're getting Trey Lance, but it's more leaning to Mac Jones right now. I wouldn't be horribly about it, but I feel like Trey Lance is the biggest upside out of these 3 quarterbacks. I feel like, they rescheduled a pro day with Mac Jones. I feel like they're going to reschedule another pro day with Justin Fields, the same thing. So, they haven't rescheduled a pro day with Trey Lance. They have with Justin Fields. He'll be having another one. But I guarantee you that they're going to restructure. They're going to schedule another pro day with Trey Lance. And so it's going to be interesting because it's going to be interesting to see what they think, because they still have a month or a little less than a month to figure this one out. I really personally want Trey Lance, but let's see what they do. I feel like this could be one of those moves where they don't take Trey Lance, but it also could be where they do their homework and say, okay, this is the guy. But it's going to be hard to say. If I were the general manager, again, I said if I were the general manager, I would pick Trey Lance. And then I would pick, I've said this before, corner in the 2nd and offensive line, like right tackle in the 3rd. And then, if you want to, I think doing one in the 4th, since we have tons of picks, I would say draft another quarterback in the 4th if you don't feel comfortable. And then you have Josh Rosen as your 3rd string. And then you have, you have Josh, and then maybe, but that would mean like maybe trading Jimmy Garoppolo if you draft another quarterback in the 4th round. But I think what I would do personally is, since there's not really a market, I feel like, out for Jimmy Garoppolo, what I would do personally, if I draft Trey Lance, I would keep Jimmy Garoppolo. I feel like he's a competent guy that maybe we could do something with him. So keep Jimmy Garoppolo, draft Trey Lance, and then maybe if you don't feel comfortable, draft a 4th guy in the 4th round, but I doubt that's going to happen, drafting a quarterback in the 4th round. I feel like, yeah, Trey Lance needs the 1 year, but that's what Patrick Mahomes did. Patrick Mahomes sat for a year too. And so I think the 49ers, I would highly recommend that. I looked at Trey Lance's pro day and he's amazing. But that's my call. I think that's what I would do if I were the general manager. That is a great, that's what I would do. So, see you next time. Shout out Amin. We might be doing a show one of these days, and maybe tomorrow, maybe on Wednesday. I'm not sure yet, but I will be posting with him. Shout out Amin, and yeah.